So today we're going to be going over lesson 6.1 of the AP Computer Science A curriculum, and that covers array creation and access. So I've created a class here in Java called Array Tester, imported java.util, and I'm going to start here with the main method. So there are two main ways you can declare and instantiate an array. And so for example, first you have to set out the data type, and then you have to do square brackets to indicate that it's an array, and then you have to give it some sort of name. And then I'll call mine x, and I'll leave it there. So I won't get any errors, but there's nothing in my array yet. And the difference between like me leaving it here and like not doing equals is that this will allocate memory in the computer to like store this variable x even though it has no value. But now we want to put a value in there, so we can say equals. We can give it, now you have to do curly brackets here, and then we can just say 1 2 3 and then semicolon. And this is our array x. It has 3 elements, which goes 1 2 3. But let's say that you don't exactly know when you don't exactly know what elements you're going to put in there just yet, but you still want to create an array. One way you can do this is you can just do new, which is the Java keyword for instantiating an object. And in this case, an array is an object because it's I believe it's inherited from the object class from Java. So like I'm pretty sure if we said java.util.array, something might pop up. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So we could always do that. That's one way to do it, but I always do star because star just means we import everything from java.util. And so we say new, and then we say int, and we know we want only 5 numbers, so let's put 5. Yeah, and basically now we have both of our arrays, and if I would run this, there would not be any errors. Okay, so now we've talked about array creation. So, I mean, obviously there's better ways to do it. So for example, say that I have an int over here called start numbers equals 11, and int endNumbers is equal to, I would say, 15. Actually, let's go 25. Why not? Oh, one more thing, guys. If you want to manually enter in something, I can always just call my array with the variable name we've given it. So in this case, I'll call y, and I'll say y of. Now, what index do we want? Remember, array indexes start at 0. So if I want to put in something for the first element, I'll just put in 0, and I'll manually set it equal to something that matches the data type. So in this case, they're asking for an int, so I'll give it an int, and I'll give it 13. And we can always test this by doing system.out.print ln, and we can always just print out y of 0, and we can say java c, compile it, and then we can run it, and you can see that 13 popped up. Now, a better way to do this, well, not necessarily a better way, but say that you wanted to go the quicker route. So let's just say we create a for loop. Now I'll just say int I is equal to 0, and this is important. You want to make sure it's less than the length of the array. In Java, arrays have a property called length, not a method called length. So if you put parentheses, it would not work. That's why it's best to keep it in terms of the property here, length. And this will make sure that we don't cross past what the array can contain. So in Y, we only have 5 slots available. So this is basically acting like a 5, right? But if you don't want to, but if you think that it's possible that you might change this 5 later, it's always best to just keep y.length here instead of like actually putting in 5. So we can start, and we can just say y of I, meaning whatever I is equal to, will be replaced here, and then we can just say equals um uh equals 12. Yeah. And so what this will do is for all the values uh of I, it'll print out 12 because that is what we are filling all the values in with. Um, and so I can just say um, y of I, and I can give it a space so we can see it. And I'll make it ln. And I'll save this file, and if I run it, let's see if we get an error. Nope. And run it again, and yeah, we got a bunch of uh, fives. And this 13 is popping up because we print 13 up here, but yeah, I mean, if I comment it out, I mean, it won't pop up anymore. So if I run this again, yeah, no 13 this time. Okay. So that is one way. And when we talk about array access, remember it's the same thing with variable scope. The array can't go further than where it was declared. So here we declared our array y in the main method. So if I were to create another method, say public static int nice, and if I did that, and if I said y of 0 is equal to 11. This should give me an error because I do not believe y, yeah, it cannot find it. It just can't find, and when you get an error like this, error cannot find symbol, usually an IDE will specify what it is, and it will specify the symbol it's talking about is the variable y. It can't find y. So one way you can try to combat this is you can pass an array as a parameter. So I can create an array, an int array called cool, and I can just say that cool of 0 is equal to 13. Return cool of 0. Right? And so I can pass in my y parameter into this method. So if I say nice, I can pass in y, and I will get back cool is and the method will return cool of 0. Yeah. So okay, one more thing to note though is that when I'm passing an object, so for this case I'm passing y, which is an array, right? So there's something in Java called pass by reference and pass by value. So what this means is when I call this method nice and I give it y, meaning I'm passing y as a parameter to it, since y is an object, it will literally pass y, and these in cool and y are now related, sort of. But if I were to just say, but instead of like an int, and I just said, and if I just give it a primitive type, like if I just said cool was that, and I said y of 2, y of 2 and cool no longer have, or I'm sorry, let me just say 2. 2 and cool have no relationship to each other. They have no relationship. I'm just giving it a 2. This is now 2. The 2 is now 13. All right, so yeah. So just remember, when you're using an object, it's always passed by reference. That's why you have to be careful when you're passing stuff that could be equal to null, because I think that'll give an error called the null pointer exception. Uh, but as long as you're just doing something simple like this, just remember this 2 and cool are unrelated. But then when we go back and we say, y and, cool, the y and cool, like y of 0 will now be 13. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, guys, I mean, that's all I had to say. Um, I will In a later video, I will go over using a for each loop and the advantages and disadvantages of that on an array or like anything else, any other data structure. But just important notes. Just you can't have multiple data types in one array. So if I said y of 1 is now equal to 1.2, I should get an error here because I specified my array to be of int type. And yep, incompatible types, possible lousy conversion from double to int. So it even specified it for me. If not, I can just give it like a string. And let's see what it says now. Yeah, incompatible type string cannot be converted to int. And same thing if I set it with the boolean. And I can run this again, and it should give a similar error. Yep, boolean cannot be converted to int. Now, you can also store objects in arrays. So for example, if I had a constructor for this class and I, created objects and for this class, I could store that in an array, and I would just, instead of saying int here, I would say array tester, but we can't do that. So yeah. Now, because I don't have any objects for array tester. But yeah, guys, that's the main idea, and yeah, that's pretty much it.